On January 3rd, 2017, and as revised on June 27th, 2017, and October 24th, 2017, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been furnished by inclusion thereof in the annual schedule of meetings for 2017, which has been posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, faxed to the Borough, filed with the Borough Clerk, faxed to the Our Town, the Record, and the Community News newspapers, and distributed to all persons, if any, requesting copies of same pursuant to said act. In case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They're immediately to my right, and the double doors at the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have to give the invocation Reverend Everett Edwards of Rhema for Life Church. Reverend Edwards. Look at that.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Very happy to be here. And at this time, we would like to approach the throne of grace. Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening for being so good to us, the children of men. We thank you for your kindness and your goodness towards us. We thank you for allowing us to be gathered together under this roof in this great city. We thank you for our leaders, for our mayor, and all those that work with him to make sure this city remain a great city. We pray for your guidance and protection. We pray that you will undergird them with your divine hand. We thank you for our children that have come to be a part of this meeting this evening, and we pray that you will bless every one of them. We pray that you will strengthen them, that you will bless them mentally, physically, socially, morally, intellectually. Bless them in all that they do. Help them that they will aspire for excellence and achieve it. Bless this evening proceedings. We ask that you will show favor upon this great city. Bless all our leaders, fire department, police department, and all the city officials, and all citizens of this great borough. We pray your blessings, and we pray your guidance and protection always, as we thank you for being a God who favors us, and we give you the glory and the honor this evening. In your mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you.
Please remain standing and salute to our nation's flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Perez.
Here.
Council members Padavano.
Here.
Davina.
Here.
Bahia.
Here.
Lindenau.
Here.
Maroni.
Here.
Nessar.
Present.
Borough Attorney Ronald Verio.
Here.
Borough Administrator Roberta Stern.
Here.
Borough Clerk Jean Pellegra is here.
Okay, Mr. Poliniak, our borough engineer, would you please come and give us our monthly report, or your monthly report?
Honorable Mayor and Council, we issued an engineer's report dated November 21st for tonight's meeting. The first item on the list is the Economic Recovery Program grant. This week, the partial flumen meter will be delivered to the pump station property. Installation will occur thereafter. The sanitary gravity flow will be online by mid to early December of this year. The next item is the streetscape project, the first phase. Our office submitted on October 11th the DOT closeout package, which will permit the borough to receive the remainder of its grant funding. The next item on the list is the West Magnolia Avenue, Magnolia Lane, Bergen County Bridge project. Our office has been informed that PSE&G will start construction with respect to addressing the high-pressure gas main that's located on the property. Thereafter, D&L Paving will proceed with the drainage improvement and anticipates completing that in December. Pending the weather conditions, paving may occur this year, may occur in early spring of the upcoming year. The next item on the list is William Street, Fairway, Duvier Place. All roadway construction improvements were completed the week of October 30th. A final inspection is going to occur in the spring just to make sure that the green belts are taking suit. At that time, then we close the project out. Oak Avenue, the roadway improvements project, those improvements were completed in September. Same, we're going to wait until spring of 2018 to close the project out, just to make sure that the green belt is taking. At that time, then we'd issue closeout documents to the governing body to consider. The next item on the list is the PSE&G improvements project, which also includes the Verizon poles. Our office held a meeting with Ms. Stern at Borough Hall on October 19th to review the pole removals. They're ongoing, and they stated they would be completed in spring of 2018. The next item on the list is the second phase of the Maywood Avenue streetscape. We understand the borough is reviewing the overall scope. We'll be discussing with the business owners the ultimate scope of the project. Once those are selected and determined, we proceed with design. We anticipate that work to occur spring, summer of 2018. And then the final item on the list is the Maywood Avenue train station, the forced account, DOT forced account. We worked with Ms. Stern to secure funding from a very old awarded grant that the borough had received in the amount of $59,000. We understand that the borough's been reimbursed that $59,000 as we speak tonight. That concludes my report. I'd be glad to address any questions or comments that the governing body had, though.
Are there any questions for Mr. Poliniak? But if you wouldn't mind waiting, I know it's going to be a little bit while, but there might be some questions that you might be able to tackle.
I'd be glad to. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, are there any items on or off the agenda you'd like to bring up? Seeing none, let's welcome the Maywood Avenue School students. What we usually do is let you guys ask us questions, and hopefully we have some answers for you. I can't guarantee that you're going to like all the answers, although I hope you do. So with that, whoever wants to come up, you don't need to say your address. Just give us your first name, that's enough, and speak in the mic. So, who's first?
Hi, my name is Faith. I would like to ask a question regarding my street. So Harvey Street, where I live, is a road that leads to Maywood Avenue School. Since I can remember, there have always been potholes in the road and the sidewalks are somewhat damaged. Students are dropped off at this road by their parents and walk the rest of the way to school, and elderly use this road to get to the nearby parish. Is there a way the town can provide a budget to fix this road and nearby sidewalks in order to prevent an accident? I represent the people living on the street who also want this road and sidewalk to be fixed.
Okay. What we do is we have a plan with the streets, and the streets that are in the worst condition go first. I know Hartwich is in pretty bad condition, and we are working on Grove coming up. In the spring we'll be doing Grove, or at least a good portion of it. So that might get involved in the bond this year.
Well, it could get involved. Grove is going to be part of the bond.
Yeah.
Palmer is the one that we're getting money from the state to start with. So Palmer will be the first street that's done. And then when we pass next year's roadway improvement bond, Grove is in that list as well as some of the other ones that we were unable to fix this year. I cannot tell you right now because I don't have in front of me whether Hartwich was on it, but I don't believe so. And Greg and I are shaking his head too, but certainly that you brought it to his attention, we'll be taking a look at it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You got it. Actually, this year is going to be one of them going forward.
Okay, sorry.
This year going forward is going to be one of the most aggressive street paving programs that we've had in some time. So let's see if we can do something with that. Anyone else? Or next, Mr. Scott. Oh, I shouldn't say name. Sorry about that. Unnamed person.
So what are your plans for the Sears site on Route 17?
Okay, well, our plans are at this point to get it remediated. And once it's remediated, what happened was there was some remediation, there was a lot of contamination over there. And they did all the remediation except for what was underneath the building because it was occupied. So Now that the building's down, they're going to be doing the remediation under there, and I believe it's about a 2-year span that that's going to take, and then there might be a little bit of a waiting time just to come back and do some testing, and then at that point, the people who own the property will probably have tenants in mind already at that point, and they're going to probably move in as soon as they can. So the town does not own that property. Another entity owns the property, and you know, the planning board has a lot of say in what goes there, and we're going to be looking out for this town to make sure that we get the best property possible that is going to basically give us the best ratables that we can get, the highest ratables. Ratables are tax income from properties like that. That come in?
Thank you.
Want to add? Yeah. Sorry, because I said it. You're right, I'm sorry.
Hello?
One sec.
Hi.
Mr. Unnamed person, can you give your first name, please? So it's in the minutes. Thank you. Stickler. Go ahead.
My name's John.
Hey, John.
And I've been wondering, because, you know, I am a really big fan of modern architecture, right? So I was wondering if we could sort of revamp this town to kind of fit that modern feel to it, and maybe I could help. I don't really know. I actually really would like to see, like, this town really be remodeled in more of, like, a modern style. You know, like you see modern apartments, something like that, just more possibly. It's kind of hard to explain. I mean,
Do you have like a town that maybe we driven through and you have an example maybe?
yeah, I guess so. I would like it to be a bit more sleek. I would definitely like it to be a lot more, you know, modern. I would also like to see a lot more technology being
John, I guess
used.
my question is there a town that you're thinking of that, hey, I wish Maywood was looked a little bit like that?
It's more like a city, actually. I would kind of make this be a bit more city-like.
So, Manhattan?
I guess so.
Okay. Well, who knows what the future's going to hold? I mean, we are mostly, I guess, about 95% residential, so, I mean, you really can't do anything with people's homes unless one goes down and another one comes up. I know on my block, a house came down and it's modern as heck, and I don't know if everybody likes it on the block, but, you know, that's pretty much all we can do.
Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Okay. So my neighbors might not agree with you, but okay.
I don't know if they agree with you, though.
Thanks, John. Thank you. You know what? To each his own, and I'm glad that that's a good question, and it was well presented. And next.
All right.
I'll over to the John. Thank you, buddy. Hey, John, if you do think of a town, like if you're driving through and you come up with something besides the city, that there's something you'd like me to look at, please tell Mr. Benelli and he'll get me that information, or he can get you my email address, okay? All right. Thanks, buddy.
Hello.
How are you doing? Your first name?
Sydney.
All right.
With all the residents bagging leaves, I'd like to know where our bagged leaves go as a town.
Where do the bagged leaves go as a town? You know, that's a great question, and I'm going to pass on. Where do they take the leaves? Where does,
Well, actually,
What
we
do
have
they
a
do?
shared agreement with another town, Paramus, and they dispose of the leaves, and they have their own facility for recycling and taking care of the leaves and the bags. So that's part of the function that they, you know, give us with our shared service.
Oh, okay, thank you.
One of the things that's very important is that only leaves go in those bags, because when people throw grass clippings and dirt and stuff, they know it's not supposed to be that heavy, and it actually winds up costing us more money when they do that. So,
Thank you.
I'm not accusing you of doing that. You gave me an opening. Thanks, Sid. Who else?
Hello, my name is Billy. So my question is, there's this big tree that's grown on my neighbor's property, and it completely hangs over our yard, and it's really huge. And it runs through our electrical wires, and the roots of it goes through the entire foundation of our house. And in the past, people who have been running for council have told us that if we vote for them, they would remove that tree. and it's been about 8 years now. And,
You know, the only people I remember making that promise was Mr. Messer and Mrs. DeHare. I don't remember anyone else making that promise. I'm sorry. And Mr. Eisenberg. And we all know what happened to these people. So the moral of this is don't promise your dad or your mom anything, otherwise...
yeah.
What do you got? What do you want?
How could it,
Is it on your neighbor's property?
yeah, it's on my neighbor's property, so we can't,
Yeah, see, that's honest and be fair. I know your dad and your mom. I never promised anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause you can't promise something that's on somebody else's property. Now, when your dad and mom talk to them, did they have any kind of understanding? Well, hey, if you pay for half, we'll pay for the other half.
I don't really know into that much detail. I just know that in storms and stuff, there's branches that have fallen on our house, and it's been a problem,
Well,
and we can't remove
Part of
it.
the answer is that any of the tree that is hanging over on your property, your parents can take care of and get rid of, so it's not a danger to them.
Yeah, it's more about the roots that go into the foundation of our house, because if we ever want to do something, then we'd have to
And
tear out.
they need to chop out those roots because it's their property and they can take
Yeah.
care of that.
Well, at that point, obviously a trained arborist or someone who comes to look at that would know how much that you can take off. Obviously, your mom or dad aren't going there with a chainsaw and tearing into roots that'll compromise the integrity of the tree. But whatever tree guy that you do have will be able to tell you, or your mom or dad, you can take this part out and that's about it. I mean, they stop at some point before they kill the tree. Just, you know what?
Why don't
Why don't
the
you
information?
ask- I know that. I know your parents. I know where you live. So I mean, I guess I could talk to your dad.
Hey, Bill, where is this tree situated? How close to the street is it?
It's I'd say 2 feet away from the sidewalk to the street, so it's pretty close to the street.
Oh, okay, so it's really not necessarily on your neighbor's property. That's town. From what you're describing, that's town property, but we'll take a look at it. I know I'll stop by.
Thank you.
And look at it during the week, okay?
I want to promise you no.
Yeah, I will not promise you. No, I won't. Who's next? Roberta, can you write that down for me, son? Write that
You'll
down?
tell me later and I'll...
Yeah, okay.
My name's Harry, and
I'm
my...
sorry, what name?
Harry.
Harry, hi, I'm sorry.
If a tree is taken down by the town, about how long will it take for the town to put up another one?
Roberta?
Well, we generally plant in the spring and sometimes in the early fall. We did not do a fall planting this year. We're planning on doing spring plantings.
Okay.
So it's really, some people don't want the trees replaced.
Right.
And some people do, and we try to keep a list of the people who want the trees so that they get the trees first.
I believe that you guys have some kind of permit or form that states that you want the tree.
Well, you just have to call the DPW and leave the address with the secretary of the DPW. She keeps it on the list. When we do the planting, we go through the list, starting with the older ones first, and then we start planting trees.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Harry. Good question. Thank you. Who's next? Who's the guy with his own YouTube channel? I'm a big fan of his music. I show you. Great lyrics. What do you got?
Hello, my name is Adriano, and I was just wondering, what is Maywood doing to help out the environment?
First of all, let me say that's the coolest name. I wish I would have had the O at the end of my name. That's a cool name.
It's my grandpa's idea.
What are we doing to help out the environment? Well, let's see. There's a lot of stuff that you're doing. But
Come into the lobby?
What? I'm sorry?
Did he come into the lobby? Did he see the solar panels on the roof?
We got solar panels on the roof. We have a community garden where we encourage people to plant vegetables and...
And then we're a member of the Sustainable New Jersey.
It's a huge one. Why didn't I remember that one? We just got gold. We got bronze status
We have
again
bronze.
this year. Second year in a row. Next year we're hoping for
Silver.
silver.
See the plaque over there? They killed the tree to make that plaque.
Killed the tree to make that plaque. It was a bad tree though. It was a bad tree for the environment. It was actually It was on, where is he? It was on Billy's, it was on the other side of his house. We took that one down. We took that, see, that's the one we said we were going to take down, the smaller one. And one of the things that we also try and do, maybe it's not a global environment issue, but in town, when a tree does come down, some of these giant trees that they used to plant, we don't plant giant trees like that anymore, which create the problems that Billy's talking about, where they uproot the ground and the sidewalks, and really, when they get bigger, they're actually a danger to fall because they're planted in such a small area. So what we do right now is we try and plant trees that have a less of a root in footprint. And so this way, they might not grow as tall, but they're going to be solid trees, and they're not going to fall, they're not going to create the issues that you see a lot. And I'm sure there's a whole ton of other things.
Yes. Two more major ones.
Sure, please.
Recycling, because by taking the recycling and doing the proper, cleaning up the community by getting rid of plastic and glass and paper and sending that to recycling centers, it's a big improvement for our environment. And also, we participate in Clean Communities, which is another environmental group that is responsible for coming up with plans for, one, keeping communities cleaner by getting rid of waste and recycling articles. So those are two of our major items besides Sustainable New Jersey.
Yeah. Another one is we also have shred events every year. And what that does is when somebody they don't want to have their information out there, so rather than, they're probably reluctant to recycle some of the papers that have their information, so they'll just generally rip them up a couple times and actually throw them in the garbage so people can't see them. And now that stuff doesn't go into it goes into the landfill. So what we do is we have a shred event, and now people bring their papers, and they're a little confident that no one's going to see them, so they shred up the papers, and all that stuff is recycled now instead of going to the landfill.
And one of the other really major things that we have for the environment, the Shade Tree Commission.
Oh.
And every 5 years, we have to participate in the community plan for the trees, so that we have an umbrella of trees in the borough of Maywood, which helps keep the air clean and provides oxygen and trying to keep people healthy. So we're in the process of updating. Our new plan is due in January, and we're in the process of completing that plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who else?
Hello, my name is Amelia, and I have a question regarding the intersection between Lincoln Avenue and West Passaic Street.
Okay.
So it's a very busy street, and I know there's a crosswalk between the intersection of Maywood Avenue and West Passaic Street, and then one later on to Rochelle Park. But that's a place where the bus stop is, and generally a lot of people cross there to either get to the bus stop or just simply to cross the street. And I'm mainly asking this question because my grandmother was hit by a car there 4 years ago while crossing the street. And is there a possibility for traffic lights or even a crosswalk to be at that intersection?
Mr. Poliniak, we did a study on this, correct?
Sure.
Maybe you can...
I'd be glad to.
Thank you. Maybe this is our borough engineer. He was here before.
We met with, actually, you have to work with Bergen County to propose crosswalks on Passaic Street because it's a county roadway. And we actually met with Eugene Murphy, who's the county, in the county traffic department, and looked at specific locations that crosswalks could be installed, that could be approved, because you require different sight distances to make sure that you're not placing a crosswalk on a hump where you couldn't see over it and see the vehicles traveling. So we've worked with that. I think the county has selected some locations that potentially the governing body could install crosswalks, and we'd be glad to work with you if you'd like to see a crosswalk installed at a location along West Passaic.
What he's saying is a lot of times when you're coming up on West Passaic, there's a hill there, it's a little hilly. So if you have the crosswalk where somebody can't see, and they're doing this, even if they're doing the speed limit, and as we know, a lot of people do higher than the speed limit, but it might be hard for them to stop at the time. But I'm sure a little further up towards Maywood Avenue, we could possibly do something on that.
Okay.
So let's put that on our plate there, Greg, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. Charlie, we got you, and what's your name?
Orion.
Orion, you're going to be next, okay? And I think that's...
Hey, my name is Charlie. Is there any development in regards to the idea of having a stop at the Maywood train station for commuters?
There has been some talk. Right now, the last thing we've heard, and this was last year, was they were looking to get the okay to get a study done, like an architect to put a study done to see what it would look like. And that's the last that we've heard of it. I don't know where they are with respect to getting the funding for it, because everything that has to be done needs funding. First it needs studies. It needs those studies to be gone over and approved and yada, 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 and then only then. Greg, have you heard anything since they came in and talked about, they talked about doing some kind of study?
I agree with you, Mary, that they're doing studies. I don't think they have made a final determination as it relates to the funding and how they would fund the project. So I think it's kind of at a standstill at this point in time, but I can relay information once it's gathered.
Okay, thanks. You want to give a plug for your website at all?
Oh, no.
Okay, all right, just checking.
Thank you.
Ryan?
Hello. So my family, we were trying to install a new part to our driveway, but we weren't allowed to because there's a certain amount of vegetation needed on the property. And I came to ask what the percentage of vegetation was needed on a piece of property and what is considered vegetation.
I guess we're talking about impervious versus pervious.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but that is the point that Mayor brought up. You can't have, if you have too much of a pavement or pavers or, blacktop or something like that, it prevents the water from properly draining. So if you allow everybody to blacktop their front lawn, you would have a big water problem. So I don't know what the percentage is. I'd be very happy to get it where you want to leave your name and number, and I'll be happy to get back to your parents on that.
Okay.
But that's the reason why. It's just that we don't want people to... There's that portion of it from the environmental portion of how much too much water. And I think there's also a portion of sometimes people get a little out of hand, and next thing you know, there's no front yards and there's just cars parked on lawns because there's no more lawns anymore. So I think that it's a twofold concern for the town as far as the aesthetics and appearance, as also the water drainage. But that's the reason why there is an ordinance in place that keeps the control so people don't go crazy.
Okay.
And Ryan, if you want, you can have yourself or your mom and dad, they can call the borough and speak with the building inspector and the building department, and they'll get you that information as well.
All right.
That's right, it's also on the website, it's in our borough code. Thank you.
But if they have trouble understanding it, anyone else would be happy to help.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. All right, I think this is it.
My name is Lily.
Lily.
Yeah. And my question is, what time do we pave the roads, and does it interfere with public traffic?
What time?
Yeah.
You mean what season?
Yeah.
Yes, what we try and, we have to do it when it's not too warm or not too cold. So the springtime is the best time, or the early fall. That way it's not, the ground isn't frozen and it's not too hot where the asphalt doesn't take right. And yes, it does cause a little bit of a traffic problem for the time the street is being paved. And like I said before, this year we're going to be undergoing a pretty big, substantial paving program, so there's going to be some inconveniencing out there. And I know you see what's going on with PSE&G. They're not even paving the streets, and there's a traffic problem. So, thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
For the question. All right. One more. Jordan, I don't know what this means. What does this mean?
He's retired.
Hello, my name's Deandra, and I was wondering if we could add parking meters along West Pleasant Ave. And this would kind of like, the money collected from the parking meters will go on cleaning the streets.
we could absolutely use that money to clean the streets. I don't know that we need to, but the problem with that is parking meters, you have to have somebody to enforce them, number one. And number two, our downtown's kind of inviting, and what we don't want to do necessarily, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because there are towns with meters, there are towns with metered parking. We don't have a ton of parking on there, so the money that we would get would be negligible, and the opposite end would be kind of angering a lot of people that weren't paying before. And what's the correct price? Is it 25 cents for a minute? For 15 minutes? Is it for an hour? You're asking people that are coming to our town, and also people who live in town, that are shopping and supporting our businesses. Now you're asking for another little. He's for it. He's for it. He's unhappy because there's no parking out front. There was only paid parking. I don't know that it's a horrible idea. I really don't. I don't know if it's a great idea. It's one of those ideas that just depends where you go. It's interesting, though. It's interesting. It's not something I haven't thought about in Maywood. But whenever I work somewhere, I always pay for parking. But it's usually in like some of the cities, like the bigger cities, like West New York, Union City. Whenever I go to some of these cities, they have parking that you pay for. It's really not always in downtown areas. Like, do they have it in Ridgewood, or they have it in Ridgewood? They do, huh? Well, there you go. Oh, maybe we should look into it. Ridgewood. Ridgewood doesn't, maybe we should do it. All right.
Thank you.
It wasn't funny. Got me on that one. All right, guys. We're packing it up. But you guys did a wonderful job, as always. As always, you got to be proud of it. Mr. Benelli, Mr. Jordan, every year you bring these guys here, and these guys do a great job. And listen, I know I told them if there's ever an opportunity that you guys want to have one of us come and speak with you, we're always available. If you ever have any questions for civics class, well, I don't think they do civics anymore, but something that passes for civics, we would always come. Any questions that you have, our email addresses are on the website. Feel free to ask away, guys, and thank you so much for coming. Thank you. I'm not sure if we actually put you on the agenda, but I think we'll have to speak now, and then if you could just stick around in case there's any questions during when the resolution comes, okay? So come on up.
Everyone's going back to their identity.
Come on up, Chuck. Yeah, Patty, can you move to the other side?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm here tonight to present the 2016 annual audit to you and to provide you with some highlights. The audit does have a clean opinion, which means there is no exceptions as far as the audit itself is concerned. And I'm very happy to report to you that we ended 2016 with $2,910,241 in fund balance, and our grant fund reserves are just under $490,000. So we ended, and we're continuing to work through those dollars. The management comments, which are at the end of the audit. We've prepared the corrective action plan. You have copies. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer. But that will be filed with the Department of Community Affairs as required. And we look forward to going into the 2018 budget season.
Thanks. We look forward to that, too. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, at this point, I'd like to open the meeting to the public. Is there anyone from the public wishing to be heard? John, come on up. What'd you think of the kids' questions?
Pretty good.
They're good, right?
Yeah. John Brown, 41 Sterling Avenue. Patty, can you hear me?
No.
Oh, okay. Greg mentioned before the pump house. Just a question, does the town have any plans for that property yet?
Nothing official. We
Okay.
have, I'm always of the opinion that one thing you can't get more of is property.
Yeah.
So it's not something, could sell it, I don't think it's something that I would be interested in selling at this point. Just, you never know what's going to happen down with the DPW, you never know what's going to happen if we need to put stuff over there.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, we're just going to make sure that the fencing is up, the screening is up, so it's not an eyesore, and we're just going to hang on to it at this point.
Okay. I was just wondering, consideration for turning it into a residential property, is the lot big enough for something like that, or?
I don't even think you could, John.
We have flooding issues on that property.
Over there? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Anyone else from the public wishing to be heard? Okay, seeing no one, close the meeting to the public. There's no pending ordinances, approval of minutes. Is there a motion for the approval of the October 24th, 2017 council meeting and closed session minutes? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Catalano?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
DeVere?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Messa?
Yes.
Okay, presentation of bills and claims and request for public comment. The clerk presented the bill list. Is there anyone from the public wishing to be heard with regard to the bills list at this time? Seeing no one? Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Catalano?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
DeVere?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Messa?
Yes.
Correspondence and report of the borough clerk.
Okay, we'll have the affidavit for the audit to be signed. We'll do that at the conclusion of the meeting. And I really don't have anything else to report on.
Okay. Report of the borough administrator.
Mayor, first of all, I'm very happy to report that we had so many people who came to enjoy our annual tree lighting. Jingles the Reindeer was a big hit, and his elf had some of the most interesting information about reindeer. So not only was it fun to have a live reindeer, I thought it was very educational because he had so many facts about reindeer, their antlers, and I just thought it was terrific, I must say. Freedom Bank once again sponsored the carriage ride, and there was a line for that when I first got there at 5:15, so apparently a lot of people enjoy it. So I think, to me, it was just a very joyful night in Maywood. As we said, our Sustainable New Jersey plaque is on the wall. I attended the Sustainable New Jersey luncheon meeting on November 14th, along with Ellen Stein, our grant consultant. We received our bronze plaque for the year 2017 through 2020. And as you mentioned before, we're hoping that we get enough things going that we go for silver next year. And actually, it was a very informative luncheon about what other people are doing. Something that came up just in the last week or so, because this is the time of year when the DPW removes the blue barrels, those plastic barrels that we use for some of the recycling and trash in Memorial Park. And apparently a lot of people who walk their dogs at Memorial Park also use it to dispose of the dog waste. Now that those blue barrels aren't there, they're leaving it wherever they feel like leaving it, because apparently some of them can't walk to where we do have other barrels. So we are considering getting a couple of dog waste stations, which we will put in, to start, 2 locations, not the most obvious ones, but obviously where we know people generally leave dog waste. So just so anybody would like to think about that, if they have any problems with it. I think it's a nice thing to start. We're only going to start with 2 of them, see how it works, see how they're used. This is from a dog waste depot, similar to Office Depot and everything else. Apparently have everything for that.
Could we get out of Clean Communities?
I'm sorry?
Could we get that funding for out of Clean Communities?
The money from Clean Communities can certainly be used for that.
Okay.
Yep. One of the other things, I know that some people have, mentioned that we do have some lights out on West Pleasant. I should say we had some lights out on West Pleasant. We, this year, invested in LED lighting for our trees, which one of the benefits is that we have a better light. The other benefit is that we use a lot less voltage, and we're hoping that it makes some kind of a difference. We have also, actually starting in August when we first met with Public Service, we're installing 3 new meter boxes along West Pleasant Avenue, which will give us better control of the electric current and where it's going. So we had to go out for quotes on that. We have a contractor. Most of the paperwork with PSE&G is filled out. The lights are on. It really has nothing to do with this. This is really kind of an underlying thing that was never installed in West Pleasant. Enough kind of, I guess, juice to light everything that we've tried to install there. So by next week or so, all of that should be done. And I think that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Hey, Greg, whatever came about of asking PSE&G when they were in the area to cut into the ground and get some power onto the islands, because obviously it was never powered correctly.
Well, that's what actually these meters will be doing.
Yeah, that's what will occur as part of that.
Whatever came of asking them to do.
Yeah, they...
Well, there's 2 things, Greg. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
2 things. One, it's not doable because those islands were filled with everything but the kitchen sink when they were installed. There isn't enough room to go down deep enough, from what I was told, to put the correct pipe in.
Yeah, you have to have at least 2 feet of cover over the pipe to have it addressed, and with what is installed in the planter boxes, you'd have issues in doing that.
The planter boxes being the islands?
The islands, correct.
What was put in there?
Well, the first time that, in 2012, when I went in to put in the first bushes, we had to get a huge auger, an electric thing to go in and do it because it's filled with rocks, cement. Everything, it's not a lot of dirt, put it that way.
So in order to get the power, you have to rip all that stuff?
Exactly. You'd have to rip everything within the island to install it.
And start all over again. But what we're doing with the boxes, now, this was a survey that was done with Public Service when they first came in to meet with us in August. This was, part of their suggestion for how to make sure that we have the proper current for what we want to do there.
Okay.
I remember when they were doing the digging there, looking down and not seeing much soil at all, and I think we actually had problems with some of the trees when we first planted them. It just wasn't going underneath for them to sustain themselves.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That was it, Roberta?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Reporting Borough Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, we have a lengthy closed session. I'm going to be part of that.
Thank you, sir. Committee reports. Councilwoman Padavano.
I don't have a report this evening, Mayor.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Davina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also do not have a report.
All right, then. Councilman DeHare.
I do. I know. It's not as long as the attorneys, though. I don't get too many shots at this, I'll go for it. There's a planning board meeting this Thursday, so everybody in town, of course, is invited. It's good to have members of the town at the planning board meeting this Thursday at 7:30 in this room. Actually in October, since our last meeting, I attended the Teterboro Airport Noise Abatement meeting. And just to give you an update, they have worked very hard, not so much Teterboro Airport, But the FAA has worked very hard, and they have come back with an alternative plan. In fact, we're going to have a special meeting again tomorrow night, which is odd. We usually have one a quarter. And it was important enough that they want to present this possible plan. And the idea is going to be the problem that relates to this whole situation of the biggest concern is the planes flying too close to the hospital. We're all concerned about noise. They're more concerned about the safety of not something would have happened. People have said that they've looked out their hospital window and waved to the pilot. And they can say he's got a beard or a mustache. So one of the things they're trying to do for that is they're going to have a possible moving it westward, which would put it right over the south end of town.
Oh.
Yes, how about that? So that's a thought, but again, it is a voluntary-based program because the pilot is in charge of that plane, and he'll come in the best way, the safest way he knows how, which is usually by instrumentation, which brings it back closer to the hospital, because that's where the runway is actually lined up. So they're trying very hard. I'll give them credit for that. They are trying for this. It may solve a problem for Hackensack and cause a problem for the people in Maywood and Rochelle Park, but we'll see what happens. So I will fill you in on, that was last meeting. There's a meeting tomorrow night, and I'll be happy to fill you in on that next meeting.
Thank you.
As far as, I want to say thank you to the DPW, the fire department, and the fire police did a great job. They did bringing Santa in. They did a great job. And next week we have the election of the fire department for the chiefs, the annual election for the chiefs. And from the building department, we had from the period of November 14th till today, November 28th, they collected $10,541 in permit fees, and they were also successful in collecting over $2,700 in outstanding fines. That have been, and they do a very good job at that. They're going after, these are people who don't take care of their property, not necessarily homeowners, but people that property is owned by companies or banks or whatever, and DPW does work, and the town charges whoever's the property owner, and they collected $2,700. So, that is all I have to add this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. All right, so what do we got next? We have Councilman Linda now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just like to start off thanking Roberta for her hard work on the annual tree lighting and Santa Cade and everything. The horse and carriage ride, the reindeer. It's a great night. It's a great night in town to kick off the holiday season. I have grown kids, and I still go and watch Santa come in every year. So it was a wonderful night. It's a good town event. DPW-wise, the guys are out there working hard, keeping the town properties clean, getting the leaves up. We're continuing to remind everybody that they need to bag their leaves, do not rake leaves into the streets.
You just reminded me of one thing, if I could, Mayor, in keeping with the bags.
Of course.
We had an exceptionally dry year. We have a lot of leaves yet. The normal time for giving out the bags is next week. We want to extend it.
Sure.
So
The tree in front of my house is, all its leaves are still on it.
that's what I'm saying. I think that we need to. So just so everybody's...
But what about the pickup? Does that stop soon?
That stops the second week of December, but at least we'll have to figure something out with that. We could talk to Paramus.
That's a great point you're bringing up, and Councilman Linda now, that they are
not
all down yet. So
no, not at all.
We'll be picking them up into January, and then we do it.
And because of the warm weather that we have so long.
Yeah. Well, we can discuss that. I was just more worried about people knowing that they could pick up the bags.
We got to do something with the bags.
Right.
So if you want the bags filled,
deal with that next.
We'll just get in the bags.
I'll just get in the bags, and then
Yeah.
I'm sure if I speak to Paramus tomorrow, we can extend our contract.
Okay.
I think that we could, you know.
So please continue to bag your leaves. They're available at Borough Hall and at the DPW. Gary was telling me that now that the fields are clear of soccer nets and the garbage cans are gone, he's going to evaluate the fields, see what needs to be addressed in the spring, so that when baseball season starts, we'll be ready to go on that. And snow is going to come eventually, and DPW is prepared. Trucks are all maintenance, machinery and equipment is all ready to go. The calcium chloride is in stock, and it will be used more properly this year. So we should have a good good crew out there and clean
And
streets.
no snow.
And no snow, hopefully. That's all I have tonight, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Levin. Councilman Maroni.
I have nothing of a policy nature tonight.
Thank you. Council President Messer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick reminder to everybody that since we are now in the holiday season, Santa has arrived, that the Maywood Police Department is sponsoring the annual toy drive to benefit needy children and children of military service members. So new unwrapped toys can be dropped off in the lobby before the 17th of December, so stuff it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Messer. What do I got here? You know what? I want to echo the sentiments of, I know I said this at the tree line, but you did a great job. You did a great job in the end. Thank you very much. And I know you're following up with PSE&G about the final island. And, you know, unfortunately, they are a public utility and they do what they want. They're not here for us. They're here for their shareholders, and they do whatever they want to do when they want to do it. Because I know we've been on it for 2 years now. And it's getting a little frustrating, and, you know.
Part of it is because they have this past year, there's been a tremendous turnover in personnel at PC&G. A number of people have
They get
retired.
killed by all the poles the smaller poles falling on them.
Well, it's really, I mean, I haven't, in my experience, haven't seen the type of movement in personnel in a utility or any kind, like I saw in the last 2 years. So, you talk to one person, like last year they came in and they did a bunch of outlets and they did a lot of things that we asked for. And then, this year, that guy who we met with in August, he's gone. The new guy doesn't know about it.
The thing is, these people are not at our beck and call.
No.
I mean, that's the bottom line. They're not here to service us.
Right.
They're here to service their shareholders, and they have a product, and their product is energy and gas, and they provide it and they service it when they see fit, and that's just the way it is. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So anyway, I thank you for making the tree lighting ceremony so special, and everybody else that attended. I want to thank Billy Jelinski for the decorating that he did. He does a wonderful job every year, and it's always fun seeing him when he's driving and he's up there with the pole, getting the lights on, saying hello to everybody. It's always a nice experience, and I know the holidays are here when that starts to happen.
And he had no trouble with the new lights either.
None. He appreciated the new LEDs. I want to thank Gary and the DPW for the great job you guys did to help facilitate that. I know it's not easy, it never is, but we are all here keeping our fingers crossed that you don't have to worry about snow this year, and we'll see where that goes. I think when former Mayor Padavano was here, he used to ensure that there would not be snow. I think we had a couple of years where there was absolutely no snow, and then 1 year where there was a little bit of snow. So I also want to say that the people who lit the tree this year, we had Fire Chief Chris Tuttle, and we had American Legion Commander Vinny Lizell, both of whom were deployed in Puerto Rico for up to 6 weeks. They were there lending aid in their respective positions. Chris works for Homeland Security, and Vinny is a reservist, and they were there, and Chris made it back a little early. Vinny actually made it back the day before the tree lighting, so this was actually a surprise for him. He didn't know. We didn't know, his family didn't know that he was going to be back in time for Thanksgiving, but they got him there. So their families were there, and that was a really nice time having them light the tree. You know about lighting the tree, correct? You know about that a little bit?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Let's have that on Christmas tree Island.
It is. You might know the people who are...
We're going to summer there.
Or winter, it's probably into the winter. Just for brevity's sake, I had a whole list of things that I wanted to talk about this past 3 weeks ago, but I think most importantly, I just want to and I know Ryan's not here, but I just want to congratulate Ryan and Matt on their victories, and more importantly, I want to congratulate them for running their campaigns like gentlemen, as opposed to some of the political antics that we've seen in campaigns past. Once called the silly season, but Ryan and Matt, you did a great job, and I want to say congratulations. I want to welcome you to the council, and please tell Ryan when he gets here. And as you know, we both have some very big shoes to fill. I know we've talked about that, and I understand it. I know you know that. Unfortunately, with elections, there always has to be a winner and there's a loser. I've always had the, I guess a mantra you want to call it, or just the way I always kept myself was, when you win, you do it with humility, and when you lose, you do it with dignity. And that's how the two men standing next to me have conducted themselves for 3 and 4 years, with dignity and humility. And there are two parties in this town. There are ballots, and people take sides based on that. But I want to say, for probably the umpteenth time that it's been said up here, that there are no Republican issues in Maywood. There are no Democrat issues in Maywood. There are only Maywood issues in Maywood. Those exact sentiments were expressed by Mayor Padovano for the 4 reorganizations that he presided over. And it will be said by me again in a few weeks when I preside over the 2018 reorganization meeting. And I will continue to say it until I am blue in the face and they are kicking me out that door, that there are no Republican issues here, there are no Democratic issues here, there are only Maywood issues here. So again, with that said, I want to, it loses effect saying congratulations without Ryan being here, but congratulations. I'm looking forward to working with. I'm looking forward to working with you, Matt and Ryan. And obviously, the last meeting in December, I will have pages and pages to talk about my 2 colleagues up here, but that's for a different time. Let's see. We have no resignations. We have appointments, though. So, appointments: Matthew Botto, Nicholas Koleshi, and James Zwirling as part-time telecommunicators effective November 1st, 2017, at a starting salary of $15.50 per hour. Is there a motion for the appointments?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Albano?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
Denier?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Maroney?
Yes.
Nessar?
Yes.
Okay. Council approval of the following from the Rosary Society of Our Lady Queen of Peace Church. Request to hold an on-premise 50/50 raffle on December 3rd, 2017 at Our Lady Queen of Peace Church, 400 Maywood Avenue, Maywood, New Jersey, 07607. And number 2 from Our Lady Queen of Peace Church, requesting permission for their annual bingo license and instant raffle license effective January 11, 2018 to December 20th, 2018. Is there a motion for the approval?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Albano?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
Denier?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Maroney?
Yes.
Nessar?
Yes.
Resolutions by title.
Resolution 14117, resolution of the Borough Council of the Borough of Maywood in the County of Borough, New Jersey, covenanting to comply with the provisions of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended, applicable to the exclusions from gross income for federal income tax purposes of interest on obligations issued by the Borough of Maywood, authorizing the mayor, borough clerk, CFO, and other borough officials to take such actions as they may deem necessary or advisable to effect such compliance and designation as $4,455,895 in bond anticipation note dated November 9, 2017 and payable November 9, 2018 as a qualified tax-exempt obligation pursuant to Section 265B3 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. Resolution 14217, certification of the 2016 annual audit. Resolution 14317, resolution ratifying and confirming the purchase of vehicle weapons, equipment for the Maywood Police Department with funds from the DEA account. Resolution 14417, a resolution ratifying and confirming the purchase of tactical equipment for the Maywood Police Department with funds from the DEA account. Resolution 14517, resolution to confirm endorsement of community development projects. Resolution 14617, a resolution ratifying and confirming the purchase and installation of seasonal decorations. Resolution 14717, resolution authorizing change order number 1 and final for the various handicap accessible curb ramps project, CDBG funded.
Okay, there's going to be 2 questions really quick, but before that, is there a motion for the adoption?
Motion to adopt.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Chuck, would you do me a favor really quick and just run over, for the public's benefit, Resolution 14117, the bond anticipation loan.
Each time we have an ordinance authorizing capital debt, the ordinance itself allows the chief financial officer, the mayor, and the clerk to borrow money as appropriate for the improvement. What this resolution does is it brings together all of the specific ordinances so that we can have a note sale, so we can conduct the sale.
So this is basically existing.
Standard debt. We're not increasing any debt, we're just borrowing the debt that we have.
Okay. Excellent. And lastly, the seasonal decorations. That money has been appropriated through, for the most part.
It's all
This is donations.
donations.
It had to be appropriated into our accounts from the donations so that we can expend,
We
correct?
have a trust account.
Yeah.
That,
with the
where
trust
we
account.
collect
So
the donations.
This is donation money, but
Right.
that's where the resolution, because we have
Right,
to
it's just that
authorize
this
to be
was
able to
over the
spend
$7,500 limit, or the $12,500 limit, rather, in
that. Donations go into the account, in order to
Right.
spend it, we have to authorize the spending.
Well, only because if it were under 12.5, I authorize anything under 12.5, maybe we'll raise that in January, then it has to be done by resolution.
Okay. All right. All right, we have a motion and we have a second. Roll call.
Padavano?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
DeHier?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Messar?
Yes.
Okay, Chuck, thank you very much for sticking around.
Thank you.
Please feel better. And if I don't see you, have a great Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we'll probably see you. We'll see you on the, and have a great New Year's as well. We'll see you after that, but take care, Chuck. Greg? Same thing, yeah.
We'll see you before that.
Yeah, see you before that, but...
You will.
Thanks. Have
a good night.
Thanks.
Good night.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, Greg. Okay, introduction of ordinances.
Ordinance 1417, an ordinance amending the official map of the Borough of Maywood to rename Briarcliff Avenue Park to Thomas F. Gaffney Jr. Park. Ordinance 1517, an ordinance amending Chapter 361 pertaining to retail food establishments of the Borough of Maywood.
Is there a motion for introduction? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Padavano?
Yes.
Trevino?
Yes.
DeHier?
Yes.
Lindenau?
Yes.
Maroni?
Yes.
Messer?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood that ordinances 1417 and 1517 pass on first reading, and that said ordinances will be further considered for final passage at the meeting of the Mayor and Council to be held on December 19, 2017 at 7:30 p.m. at the Borough Hall, 15 Park Avenue, Maywood, New Jersey, at which time and place all persons interested therein will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same of the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise the same according to law.
Just briefly, I know on the adoption of the Briarcliff Park naming of Mr. Gaffney, I'll have something to say more on that. Just for anyone who doesn't know, though, Mr. Gaffney was first elected in 1993 and served continuously as a councilman after multiple elections through December 31st, 2005. There was a public hearing for the Green Acres application to the DEP that was held on May 22nd, 2002. That's for that park. And construction of the park began in August 2003 and finally completed in 2004. And Mr. Gaffney was instrumental in getting that done. So, in his memory, who he's passed a few months ago, I think that's a fitting memorial and tribute to his legacy and memory. And hopefully his family will be here on the adoption. And I know he's got a pretty big family that lives in town, so. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, is there any new business? Is there any new business? How about old business? Miscellaneous business?
No.
Well, we do have a closed session. So is there a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of?
Litigation.
Motion to go to Is there a second?
Second.
And personnel as well.
Okay.
Roll call. I'm sorry, is that, not roll call. All in favor?
Okay.
Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood pursuant to the business of the Open Meeting Act, Mayor and Council meet in closed session to discuss the following subject matters: litigation and personnel. Be it further resolved that it's precisely as we determined at this time the discussion conducted in said closed session was disclosed to the public upon taking final action on provided disclosure not fair with violation of attention privilege or constitute an undue invasion of privacy. Be it further resolved the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood do not envision they will return to open session after this meeting, but reserve the right to do so.
Thank you all for coming.